Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another session of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Matt. Matt, how you doing tonight?
Mark, another session. We've got 3 sessions for everyone. This is another episode.
Man, as soon as I said session, I was like, damn it, I meant to say episode. Welcome back.
I know. God. You caught up. You were just waiting for me to pounce on it.
It was a long weekend, Matt, okay? And I'm still recovering.
No, that's right. Long holiday weekend. But Mark, I am doing great. I'm doing really well. It feels like it's been forever since we've been on the airwaves together here.
I agree. It does. It's only been a little over a week, but man, it just seems like a long time, man.
God, a week without you and without bourbon. I don't know. Just
okay, Matt. This is getting a little creepy and weird here now. Okay, man. So
hey, well, we are still socially distanced here in the Bourbon Life Studios, Mark and I. But we're still doing the social distancing. But anyway, Mark,
that's right. We are.
How are you doing?
Man, I'm doing great, Matt. Had a great weekend. Had a lot of fun. Went back down to visit some friends in Tennessee at the lake and had a great cookout. Had a derby. You know, it's so weird. We had a derby party. And how weird is it to say I had a derby party on September, whatever day it was, 5th?
Yeah,
I mean, like, what the hell, dude? Absolutely weird, you know? So, but it was fun to have a party, but it's weird watching the derby on September 5th. But, you know, nothing's been the same this year, but it was nice to at least get to watch the derby, even though there was no spectators and none of the fancy pageantry and the hats and everything else that goes with it, and none of the infield shenanigans that you get to watch. But it was nice, man. So I'm doing good, but definitely happy to be back here with you, Matt. And we're gonna have a great show tonight. I'm really looking forward to it. Before we get into that, I'm going to thank our sponsors, though. And of course, that's the Stave Restaurant out in Millville, Kentucky. They're doing some great food out there. Chef Jonathan Sanning prepares an elevated Kentucky cuisine, and it's awesome food. And I haven't been out there in about a week, so I need to get back out there, man. But the stuff that they put out is just amazing. Rebecca and Eric, the owners, are just great people. Live music out there on Friday and Saturday night, so check them out. And we also actually have a new sponsor this week. Pinhook Bourbon is sponsoring us as well, so we're excited to have them on board. Sean Josephs, one of the co-founders, was on the show about 3 months ago, and Sean was a great guy. Really fun to have him on the show. Their stuff's being distilled out of Castle and Key, so we're happy to have Pinhook Bourbon on board with us as well. So now that we've got that out of the way, Matt, you want to tell everybody who we got with us tonight?
I would love to, Mark. Joining us tonight, and I am super excited for this episode, and I know everybody else is going to be super excited for it as well. So we'll get right down to the brass tacks on things.
Come on, Matt, we're waiting.
Okay, sorry. Joining us our furthest distance away that we've had so far on the show in Las Vegas, Nevada, is Mr. Aaron Chepenik of Smoke Wagon Bourbon.
Yeah.
Aaron, welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast.
Hey, thank you. It's great to be here. How you guys doing?
Man, I'm doing great, Aaron, and we're really, really happy, like Matt said, to have you on the show with us tonight. Been really, really looking forward to this one. And we'll let everybody know ahead of time. Aaron is working overtime, extra time. So he is at the distillery, man, like in the midst of everything. So if you guys catch any background noises and things, just work with us, man, because he's a working man, the hardest working man in the bourbon industry in Las Vegas, right?
Not quite as hard as it used to be. I still have some days, but yeah.
So we may hear a few noises and things in the background, man, but that's just sounds of, it's the sound of, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's beautiful bourbon being made. So we can all get behind that and be very happy about that. So, well, Aaron, I usually like to have our guests just kind of tell people a little bit about themselves. So if you don't care, man, just kind of give us a little history, and it doesn't have to be brief, man. You tell us what you want to tell us, but I think our listeners would love to know about, who you are and how you got into what you're doing here.
Oh, sure. So basically, I've owned bars now for 17 years. I mean, I've sold, I used to have a few, and I'm down to just the one here in Las Vegas. And yeah, that, so I just want to make sure I segue into it properly. So yeah, I've always, it's just funny. I'm kind of going off the path here, just like how everything that I've done in my life, just kind of helped me out. Like I was a construction laborer, and then when I was living in Atlanta, and I ended up working in a scenic studio where, we did some film stuff, and this was years ago. I was, young, and we built a lot of fake stuff for movies. And when I did my first bar, the guys we hired as the contractor, they really couldn't do what I envisioned. So I ended up firing one of them, and I just went and bought tools and said, I know, I haven't done. I mean, at that point, I think I was 32, and so I hadn't done anything in, probably like 8 years, which back then 8 years seemed like an eternity. Right. Now 8 years, fall asleep, you wake up, it's over. But and so yeah, it was just crazy because when I did all that construction and everything, it wasn't really what I wanted to be doing, and but it just paid off because like when I did that bar, because I built it myself, so it looked exactly the way I pictured it in my mind. That's where I met my business partner Jonathan, because he had just moved in to Pasadena and like started going there, and he loved the place, and we just started talking, and I at that point in LA, you could not turn a retail space into a bar. You had to buy an existing bar, and so it was really expensive. And so I just found out about these real estate development going on downtown in Las Vegas. So we just came out here and looked at some spaces downtown, which back then was wild, man. It was crazy. It was so rough. People thought we were insane. It's pretty funny because like when we were doing it, I was an idiot. And then when it was successful, I was lucky, It was like, I was lucky, so like we were doing it, everybody's like, this is the dumbest thing anybody's ever done doing a bar downtown here. And then when it worked out, like, you just got lucky. You got it at the right time. You couldn't win. And so I would say that is like the fundamental difference between my experiences in the bar business versus my experience. And for everything here is like 99.9% positive, like there's so much love and everybody's so appreciative, and it's really incredible. And so the way, back then, because it all started over 10 years ago, I actually went back and looked when we started our company, when we started doing labels and everything. And so John and I were drinking vodka, and we were drinking this Russian diamond vodka, the official vodka, the Kremlin, and it was silver filtered. And we're like, we're going to do this here in the U.S., but we wanted to be cheap because I just really saw an end to the premium vodka market. Yeah. And so I bought this silver filtration system from Russia through India, which now, actually was just talking to somebody about this the other day. It was definitely like a Spinal Tap moment, because you go to the website and everything's in Russian, and they show these huge filtration systems. They're massive. And then I order this thing, and what I know now is I didn't really need the whole system. They're just standard 30-inch sanitary filters. I could put them into any, And, stuff shows up at the airport, and, they tell me to go pick it up. And I was like, well, how big of a truck do I need? And they're like, well, you can put it in your pickup. And I was like, wait a second, what? I've seen the pictures. They're huge. And I went and got it. It's like just little tiny, 30-inch towers. Is this the model? And so that's how it all began. And then, people were like, oh, you should do bourbon. And I started drinking bourbon because when I was drinking vodka, it was crazy. I was crazy back then. I was a maniac. Living, opening the bar in Las Vegas.
I can't imagine.
First, up all night.
Yeah.
They're wild times. They're actually wild times that you can't repeat because nobody had smartphones. No, there was no social media.
Right.
So the world was a wilder place because nobody was recording it. Nobody knew what was going on.
Yeah, you have to whip out that 35 millimeter with a flash, you know. And then you have to take it down to
somebody had a Polaroid or disposable camera.
Yeah, there are Polaroids floating around somewhere if you hang it from a chandelier.
But I mean, and you know, flip phones had cameras on them, but they didn't take good pictures at night, and there was no way to share it. There was no platform.
Right.
Yeah. So Barbers is wild. I had a lot of fun, and as I mellowed out. I started experimenting with brown spirits, and I just loved bourbon. It was my favorite. I tried everything, and you know, people were like, "Hey, you should do bourbon instead of just the vodka," and that was in 2012.
Yeah.
So in 2012, we bought all the fermenters, and we already had the still, and I had hired Dave Pickerel as our consultant. That was like before WhistlePig had really taken off.
Right.
And he was trying to find us inventory, and everybody had closed the doors on craft brands. You know, all like Heaven Hill was one that everybody could always go to, and because I think it was like 275 craft distilleries open up that year.
Oh wow!
Yeah, they started seeing craft brands collectively as competition.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So the only place that was still selling barrels was MGP. The Seagram's plant, and Dave and the head of sales at MGP had history from Maker's Mark.
Oh,
so they wouldn't deal.
Not a good.
They wouldn't deal with Dave, and so you know, I ended up having to call the guy. I still deal with him all the time, Barry Yunke. I love him, and he was just like, "If you guys are serious, come out here. Otherwise, you're not serious. I'm not going to talk to you." So we're like, "Okay." And so we flew out there, stayed in Cincinnati, and drove there every day and toured the facility. And it was incredible, you know, because it's kind of like, you know, it's like Oz, right? Being going there as a supplier, you see behind the curtain, and like you go to the control room and all these guys are in hard hats and lab coats watching computer screens with the chemical composition of the distillate. And then the other aspect of it is like seeing the rack houses, you know.
Right.
They were so impressive. They're all built in the 30s, and it's all like on the banks of the Ohio River. Just like, how do you replicate this? You know, I mean, we're like a 3,900 square foot base, you know, like we're on this like 20-acre facility with all these beautiful masonry buildings and everything. And it was really kind of an eye-opening experience to me. I mean, on one, I was like, I've been lied to. There's no master distiller sitting around sniffing a little glass and, you know, everything computer printout. So, they check the distillate, you know, but the consistency is looking at the – and then you start thinking, well, what would you rather have? I mean, you want to risk people going blind and dying because you could smell it, or you want to, like, to know how much methanol and acetone in there, you know, based on something that's measuring it. And so because I want to do everything myself. Mm-hmm. And even after that, I kind of did. But so when we were there, we bought everything they would sell us in the 36% rye. The reason I chose the 36% rye is at the time, my favorite bourbon was the Four Roses single barrel, which is 35% rye. I really like the complexity of the rye and the corn.
You just became Matt's best friend.
Barking right up my tree right there.
I mean, I love the baking spice. I love the intensity, you know, the cinnamon, obviously the rye spice. I just, you know, and so we bought everything that all the old Pernod Ricard. Actually, sorry, I thought it was Pernod Ricard, but it was even before Pernod Ricard. It was all the old Seagram stuff. I think it was the last year that Seagram's actually owned the plant.
Okay.
And a bunch of stuff that LDI had laid down that year because MGP had just taken it over. There wasn't even any actual MGP distillate yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so went back to Las Vegas. So the 5-year stuff that we bought, because I loved it at 5 years, we were going to dump all that into these big, massive tanks and pull from that. We still had fermenters. We still were going to, distill our own. Even though I was in the back of my mind, I was like, how are we ever going to get to like the level of what I just experienced?
Mm-hmm.
And the fire department was not approving our tanks. We're just having a lot of problems. The city had to create a license for us because nobody had done it in Las Vegas before.
Wow.
And then the warehouse manager from MGP said, hey, just so you know, this was in 2000. I guess it was like 3 years later. It was 2014. And he said, no one can get oak. You see a lot of these, craft distilleries are coming out with rums and things like that because they're doing whatever they can in used barrels. Because nobody was logging after the housing, collapse in 2009, 2010. So no one was logging for pine on the East Coast. So nobody was logging for oak. And so he said, you should contract MGP to see if they'll lay down distillate for you because they're not doing it for anyone. Except for big companies. They kind of close the doors on small brands. They're only dealing with ultra pure, and you're kind of in an interesting position because they loved us.
Yeah.
And then we had this big warehouse, rental contract because we had so many barrels there.
Mm-hmm.
And so we started laying down 600 barrels a year. And then when we finally came to open, when we started, there was no such thing as a distiller's license in the state of Nevada. There was a rectifier's license, and you would get a letter of permission to distill from the governor. By the time we opened, there was a craft distiller's license, but it was so restrictive. Well, first of all, the main thing was I wouldn't be able to import any of my barrels. And at that point, we had 2,000 barrels at MGP.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
And so the craft distiller wouldn't be able to do that. And everything would have to be distilled from scratch. The vodka, which I start with GNS, we run it all through our still. They let us do that as a rectifier, but you can't do that as a craft distiller. And then now the problem we'd have would be production and sales, because you can only do 10,000 cases a year as a craft distiller. And this year we've definitely exceeded that. So not that was a factor when we decided to be a rectifier 4 years ago. I mean, I'd never planned on doing what we're doing now as quickly as we're doing it. It was.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. What you guys do. And I guess, here we are, Matt. I forgot at the beginning of the session to talk about what we were drinking. Damn it.
I know you caught me off. I'm just sitting here enthralled by this story. And
I know.
Sure enough, we did it again, Mark.
Yeah. All right. So real quick, since we're almost at 17 minutes in, but let's take a quick break and talk about, not a break, but let's talk about what we're drinking. So, Aaron, I'm sorry, we'll get back to that, but I at least want to let everybody know.
Complains about cork pops. These guys got to understand we're 2,500 feet here, so everybody's opening the bottle at sea level. We're like, I don't have a cork pop. We have cork pops. There
you go.
You're drinking at the level it was bottled.
Yeah. we got it. So this is the the Smoke Wagon. This is the straight bourbon.
Right.
And this one comes in at
the air compressor, of course.
Yeah, there goes the air compressor again. So
now we know we got 17 minutes of
17 minutes once it turns off.
Yeah. That's right, because it happened just before we started. But yeah, so Aaron, we're drinking this is your straight bourbon whiskey, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is 92.5 proof. So this is a blend. So can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Yes. So now I actually like it better because it's 5 and 4 year multiple floors.
Okay.
When I did this, we laid down 600 barrels on the 6th floor, and the reason for that was because I was obsessed with doing an entry level bourbon that tasted good. I just felt like everything was getting weirder and weirder, like with all these special barrel finishes, and things were becoming more expensive and more limited. And there really wasn't nobody was really focusing on having just a beautiful everyday bourbon, which I think is a necessity. And so the goal was that those barrels on that high floor would age faster, but but we wouldn't get an accelerated, proof gallon or volume loss. So the price point could be there. And I want 92.5 proof. I chose that because that's about as low as you want to go if you're not going to chill filter. It'll still flock. I've seen it flock in the wintertime. Oh, thank God. I've seen it flock in the wintertime, but at 92.5, you can shake the bottle and the lipid esters will dissolve back into the juice. They don't stay solid.
Yeah.
And I wanted to use a 36% rye. I didn't want to compromise on flavor or anything like that. And so that's why we put it in this bottle. This bottle is the opposite sort of philosophy as the other bottles. The other bottles, I was like, I designed them, I engineered them. I wanted this. Everybody said it was like, we're going to try to figure out how to get you that. I was like, it needs to be perfect. This was like $1.99. We need to figure out a packaging where the cake, the cork, the glass, the label, the $1.99, because I want to be at that $14.99. I want it to be the $29.99 price point, and so I was very happy the way it turned out. And then this kind of with the blending, you're in control to some degree of making it taste delicious. And this was like the first time where I was just sitting around going, okay, I hope this works out, but I cannot explain it. My desire to do that, when I talk about it now, it's like, oh yeah, I had this philosophy. It was really, I was obsessed. Yeah. I was like, my business partner, I was talking to him. I was like, we need to lay these barrels down now, and we need to have the packaging ready. So that when it's 4 years old, we need to get this out the door. He's like, why? I was like, I can't explain it. I was like, we just need to have this expression done. And as time went on, I kind of figured out, okay, why am I having these feelings? I was like, well, I think it's because of this or this. But yeah, it worked out perfectly. It's just,
Matt,
I couldn't be happier with it.
Matt, what are you picking up on this one, man?
The nose is really sweet. I get a lot of honey. And it's minty too. I get mint coming through from the high rye and a lot of honey, really sweet.
A little citrus for me for some reason. I picked that up a little bit. But yeah, definitely that rye, but the sweetness, like you said, Matt, which is crazy. And then, when on the palate too, 36 rye, you get that spice, but it's not an overwhelming, like kick you in the teeth kind of spicy rye. It's just that nice subtle rye, which is really good. So what do you think, Matt? You're over there, like I can see you like you're smiling, you're looking off in the distance.
Hey, I signed me up for a high rye bourbon. This is right where it needs to be. It's got good cinnamon. I get a lot of that cinnamon. It's got good heat. It's lending itself to the baking spices, getting nutmeg and clove, and like a little bit of cardamom, and of course peppercorn. But for being a 36% rye and coming from Indiana at 4 or 5 years, I've had other 4 or 5 year old high rye bourbons from Indiana that taste nothing like this, that are a lot earthier, like a lot more of grain and corn. And this is not like that. This is a much, I prefer this taste a lot more than some of the others I've had. I'll just say that.
A lot of that comes from the blending. This has that 5 year off the 6th floor, 4 year off the 4th floor. This one, let's see. Oh, this is from this month. So yeah, so that would just be, I wouldn't have had the 5th floor 5 year yet. So this is just 5 year off the 6th floor and 4 year off the 4th floor. And the crazy thing is that 5 year that was the 4 year that was supposed to be old was too old by the time it got 5 years, and this was too tannic. I really wanted this to be an entry level bourbon. I think that the entry level lost its way and somehow became like crappy, like budget.
Right.
No other. if you had a car manufacturer or motorcycle or anything where their entry level was a pile of shit,
Yeah,
you wouldn't want to go up in the brand. You wouldn't want, you'd be like, well, that was a terrible experience. When I have money, I'm not going for them. I'm going somewhere else. And so that's what I really want this to be. Where low tannins. It's going to be a little hot for some people if they're not used to drinking bourbon at 92.5. I mean, for us, it's like water, especially, especially.
Man, I was just sitting there thinking, man, I could hurt this bottle. I could put a real hurting on that bottle in no time. I mean, wow.
Yeah. And especially because it's not chill filtered. So it has all those lipid esters, all that fats insulating your palate from the heat. So it's like,
it coats your mouth well. I mean, it's got that nice finish to it. And, it's a nice linger. It's just it's not too spicy. It's got that little bit of that spicy, peppery rye kick to it, but nothing overwhelming. Man, it's a really, really good blend of flavors and things.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. So just out of curiosity, so these were barrels that you guys got from MGP, is that right? Or
every barrel in this is stuff that we contracted them to lay down that I've owned from day one.
Gotcha. Okay. All right.
I told them a month in advance, hey, we want 36% rye. Tried to get on the floors I wanted on, which lately has been surprisingly easier because I haven't been buying new fill because now they have the new palletized warehouses. And everything I do, I want it racked. I'm using that place for the Seagram's warehouses. And so I make sure everything's racked. So they're not doing racked every month. So it's not like this past time, I bought 230 barrels. I'm trying to do at least 200 barrels a month right now of new fill. And they sold me stuff from March because they hadn't laid anything racked in the past couple months. And so that was really great because I got to really pick and choose from the floors that I wanted in the warehouses and things like that and spread it out.
Very nice. So when you buy these barrels from them, are they shipping them out to you then? And you guys are blending there at your facility?
So I pay them to store it all, and then I do pull them, and I get it. My designated truck is about 88 barrels at a time, and then I store them here for a while, and I do all the blending and bottling here in our facility.
Yeah, no, that's great, man. That's great. Well, I'll tell you what, we've gone to about 27 minutes, so I'm gonna.
It's perfect because this truck just showed up. I gotta go.
All right, well, that's good. Well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll take a quick break.
Okay.
Get a word from our sponsor, and then we'll come back for session number 2, and we'll move on to the next pour. But yeah, everybody just sit tight and hang out with us, and we'll be right back with a little bit more from with Aaron Chepenik from Smoke Wagon Bourbon. Thanks. Hey, Bourbon Lifers. When you're out hunting for those hard-to-find bottles or just enjoying the distilleries of Central Kentucky, you're going to work up an appetite. And when it's time to refuel, we suggest that you visit our good friends Rebecca and Eric Burnworth at the Stave Restaurant. Located at 5711 McCracken Pike in Millville, Kentucky, close to Castle and Key and Woodford Reserve, the Stave Restaurant is just off the beaten path, nestled on the banks of Glens Creek. Chef Jonathan Sanning prepares amazing food each day featuring an elevated Kentucky-inspired cuisine. You can take our word for it, the food alone is worth the trip to the Stave. With a full-service bar, great bourbon flights, and signature cocktails, the Stave is the perfect place to catch up with friends after a fun-filled day of touring the local distilleries. And you can even purchase bottles of bourbon to take home with you while you're there. Make sure to follow the Stave on Instagram and Facebook at The Stave Kentucky, or visit them online at thestavekentucky.com to stay up to date on everything that's going on. The Stave Restaurant is a bourbon lover's paradise, right here in the heart of bourbon country. All right, everybody, welcome back for session or round 2 of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me, as always, is my good friend, my buddy, my pal. Man, I was going to change that, but you know what? I like saying that so much, man. So,
what a guy.
Matt, how you doing tonight?
Oh, Mark, I'm doing great. Session 1, huge success. So looking forward to session number 2, and to have Aaron Chepenik from Smoke Wagon Bourbon back again for session number 2. He's made it back, and I want for all of our listeners out there, it's very unfortunate that you all are just listeners this evening because we're recording on Squadcast, so we have video going. And during our break here, we got to see Aaron firing up the forklift.
That's right, man.
Driving around in the distillery, a true working man.
That's right.
For us and for everybody out there, is got to see him behind the wheel.
Doing the hardest working man in show business bourbon right there.
I mean, there have definitely been times, especially there was old period where I was doing it all by myself.
Oh, I'm sure.
Out there unloading a truck full of barrels in the middle of the summer, 113 degrees.
Jeez. Yeah.
I don't miss any of that.
No.
I don't even show up now when the bottle truck show up. Like, how'd that go? All right, I'll be in the blend later. I don't even want to be around when you guys are unloading bottles now.
I've got that old football injury. Remember? I can't quite. Yeah, I won't be in today, so I'm sorry about that. All right, so I'm going to start this session by starting with what we're drinking because last session I blew. I know, Matt. I blew it last session, right?
Hey, it takes two to tango, man. We both.
Man, I tell you what. But like you said, man, it was fun listening to Aaron talk, and Aaron, there are people that can tell stories in bourbon, and there are people that just
see, Mark. This is how it starts, though.
Yeah, there are people that just aren't. They know their stuff, and they're knowledgeable, and they're fun to talk to. But there are people that can tell stories, and there are people that really can't tell stories. And you obviously can tell stories, so that makes our job a million times easier. And then we forget though what we're doing. It's like somebody's got to reel us back in a little bit here, right? So, all right. So we've moved on to session 2, and in this session we're drinking the this is the small batch, right? Yep. So. And Matt has the bottle in there. I think I remember this is 100 proof.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all that I've got on it. So tell us a little bit about this one.
This is the one that started it all.
Okay.
So, as we talked about in the last session, I had those 2 tanks that never got approved by the fire department. They never actually ended up never getting approved. And one of the reasons for that was so much time went by that the LDI distillate that we bought that was, like a month old when we bought it was going to be 4 years old. So this was the summer. This was like July, August. And that coming February, it was going to be 4 years old. And we got the bid to build this containment unit for those 2 tanks that we were originally going to dump all that 5-year juice into, which is now the last of the 13-year, And just talk about being saved from yourself. I spent all sure. These years. Why can't these tanks get approved? Why is my life being destroyed when in fact I was being saved from myself? And I've had so many of those experiences here. So I'm very thankful that tanks never got approved. And
so Aaron, what you're saying is you're just lucky, right?
Just lucky. I am lucky. I mean, to get to do this, I figure I know you're joking around, but yeah, it's and that was one thing I talked to about people a lot, and why what I try to represent in the Instagram is like you see these bourbon and things where they make it seem like they're digging ditches or working in the salt mines, it's like, we toil and work for you it's like, man, this is so much fun. There's frustrating days where I'm having a hard time getting a blend right, or we get empty barrels or whatever. But this is like, to get to do this, amazing. And every day is fun, and trying all the barrels is fun. It's an incredible experience. I don't feel like it's work.
Sure.
I mean, the work is like the federal reporting. That's work.
Yeah.
That shit sucks.
Yeah, no doubt.
It does that now.
Those damn attorneys, where are they?
All the paperwork. But yeah. So I forgot where I was talking about. But yeah,
talking about how much fun you're having.
Lucky, so
you're having so much fun having fun that you forgot you were talking about having fun, man. So
I forgot I was talking about being lucky. So we got a bid to do this containment around those 2 big giant tanks, and it was like $280,000. Yeah, and I was like, wait a second, let me check my barrel inventory. And so the whole thing that everybody told me was, back then 4 years and a day was the age you wanted because you didn't want a young age statement on your bottle. Now no one gives a shit. They'll put 18 months on their bottle.
Sure.
Especially since you can bury it now on the back label.
Right.
TTB lets you do it. Back then you couldn't. It'd be age big on front brand label.
Right.
So I called my business partner. Totally fuck with him. I said, well, I got the bid for the stuff and it's like $280,000, and he was freaking out. And then I was like, well, we don't have to do it because we're going to have this bourbon that's going to be 4 years old in February. So we don't have to pull off these tanks. We can blend for consistency. That was because, I'm just getting advice. I don't know what I'm doing at this point. I haven't even had the bourbon on hand yet. So the plan based on what everybody told me was, I pulled the 8-year barrels. We were going to release small batches in 8-year. We got approval from our distributor here locally, but they never made an order. And then all of a sudden it was February. And so I hadn't bottled anything. I just had these 8-year barrels sitting here. So I pulled the 4-year barrels. And I was just like, hey, I'm going to experiment with what these people are telling me where we can release as an 8-year. Because apparently that sort of was an industry standard where, like, if you win a double gold or you become popular, you just add a little bit of young juice every year and kind of put it down. And all of a sudden your ageless, no age statement 7-year is now a 4-year and a day. And so I started messing around with the blend and I was like, wait, I like this better. The 8-year, had all the beautiful flavors of an 8-year, but all that rye spice that I love was gone. And compared, because there was no 8-year when we went and tried all these samples at MGP in 2012.
Right.
It was a 5-year and a 6-year, and the 6-year was like, they only had a couple barrels of that, so it wasn't even worth it. And but now that in the 4-year stuff seemed really thin, and so on its own, but it had all the rye spice. So mixing them together, I got all these flavors that I really like. And everybody said, "Oh, you don't want to do that because you're using 8-year. So you either want to have an age statement, or you want to use the youngest juice that can get you where you want to be if you don't have an age statement." And I said, well, I mean, that's kind of what's the point of doing this if you're not creating something new that, I feel like this flavor doesn't exist and I really like it better than anything else I've had. So this is kind of what I want to do. And so that's what we did. And, we won a gold medal that year at San Francisco World Spirits Competition. Nice. And then all of a sudden we got a call from the distributor. And they said, "Hey, you're
pretty lucky, and we're going to make this your lucky day as well."
Yeah. Oh, now that you've done a bunch of work for us by getting all this, exposure, we'll sell you now. Yeah. But that was small batch. Oh, you can't. There's no video here, but yeah, small batch. That was the one. That's where it all began.
Yeah. So getting back to the actual the bourbon itself. Matt, what do you get on the nose on this one, man?
So was this is this a blend of 8 and 4?
8, 5, and 4.
8, 5, and 4.
Nice.
Okay. I get on the nose. I get cherries. I get fruit. I get stone fruit, dark fruit, and the 8 makes sense because I'm picking up some of the barrel, getting some of the age coming through on it as well on the nose, and then it's got the similar characteristics to the straight bourbon as well, where I'm getting the sweetness of like the honey and that toastiness that you were talking about. You get some toastiness coming through.
Yeah, man, this is delicious, Aaron. I mean, when you tell people about it, nosing it and tasting it, how do you describe it, or do you have? And there we go again.
There we go. Small batch. Well, the straight bourbon, obviously, there's a taste philosophy behind it. I'm kind of limited because it's 4 and 5 year, and I just want it to be fruity and and delicate, and have some spice characteristics. The straight small batch, I really want it to be fruit forward, where the cinnamon and the rye spice comes in on the finish, very, very low, if no tannins.
Right.
Kind of, it is a step up. First of all, I don't really like tannins. I'm very sensitive, but I do like to have some of that oak wood flavor,
Sure.
And so this has got a little bit of oak on the finish, but a nice, big, bold finish. That way, if you have it on the rocks, or if you make like a high-end cocktail out of it, it's going to shine through, and it's not going to get watery or diluted. Everything I have, if I can, I prefer to drink them neat. But sometimes in summer, man, you go outside.
Yeah.
It's 100. Like the other day when I was in the pool, it's 115 degrees.
God.
You're drinking this neat. Yeah, you
It
might as
would
well
just evaporate out in that Vegas heat.
Yeah.
Just take a step
Especially-
outside and your glass is empty.
Yeah, especially if 5% humidity. Everything just evaporates.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
crazy.
So yeah, you gotta have a little ice in there.
So what do you do? I mean, I know you said that MGP holds your barrels, you contract with them. Do you, and I know, because you're like an Instagram star as well, Aaron. So it's so much fun. I love watching your videos, man.
It's crazy. It's getting there, it's
yeah. All right. So Aaron, living out there, and you're in Las Vegas, man, and talking about how hot it is. And I know you've got barrels out there. So what's the angel share? I mean, what do you lose off your barrels out there?
Well,
In Sin
so
City,
far,
is it really called Angel Share though?
is it really called-
Is it called angel share in the Sin City?
so the funny thing is, everything's measured. I have no way to accurately measure volume loss. Everything's proof gallon loss. So when we do the barrels, you get an idea of case yield. And I would say that as far as the volume loss that we get, it's negligible, because when I look at barrel, there's really no. I weigh all the barrels when they come in, and I get an estimated case yield out of them. That way, I'm not offering short barrels at the same price as like a 29 case yield barrel, because it just doesn't make any sense, especially with today's market. I could transfer an 8-year barrel to like another distillery where I don't have to do packaging or pay excise tax or anything for a certain amount. So if I'm not making that, so I can't sell a short barrel at the same price. But and then so we get an estimated case yield. So when we go to bottle those like 5 months later, it's usually about the same case yield.
Okay.
But the proof has gone up. So there's definitely been some volume loss. So we don't have any proof gallon loss because the volume's gone down a little, but the proof has gone up. And so that's the opposite of what happens 99% of the time in Indiana, where it's so humid there, they will lose alcohol before water. So you might have like these big, fat, heavy barrels that almost are like, the 450 pounds, including the oak, and the full one's 500 pounds. And you're like, oh yeah, and then you dump it, but it's only like 112 proof. So you have no volume loss, but you have a ton of proof loss.
Proof loss.
Losses.
Yeah.
Now, on average there, it's about 10% the first year and 4% every year after, right? And so your first year is going to be more because you're dealing with dry wood. The wood's going to suck up all the bourbon and like act like a wick and just shoot it out into the atmosphere. But then once the wood gets wet and especially the humidity starts interacting with it on the outside, kind of starts to seal up and you don't lose as much. Now, a new barrel here, I know from a distillery that was doing it here, they would get 48% loss their first year. So, so distilling from scratch here and aging from day one, I don't believe will ever be an option. People are like, oh, why don't you could humidify your warehouse, where I was like, I really wouldn't feel good about that, living in the desert and using a precious commodity, which is water, to humidify a bunch of barrels just so that I could say that they're here. I mean,
Right.
I'm fine keeping them in Indiana for 4 years or more, and then we'll bring them out here and just let them sit for a while because it does change them. I usually let the older ones sit longer because they can. The younger ones, if you let them sit too long, you do start to see too much loss.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, Aaron, we're only about an hour, a little bit over an hour and a half away. So if you ever need us just to go up and babysit or check on your barrels, Matt and I would be more than happy to do that, right?
Most people don't realize that it's right there across the Ohio River from Kentucky.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so they're like, oh, Indiana, it's a big state, man. And so Seagram's chose that side of the river is because it would always be downwind, and so they get all the moisture off the Ohio River every morning. And then also there's a big aquifer there. So the reason it went there instead of Kentucky was just because of that.
Yeah. Well, that makes perfect sense. And it's funny because if you drink bourbon, if you're into bourbon, you know that MGP is the real deal, man. And so it's like you're not going to look at it and say, "Oh, this is Indiana bourbon." I mean, that it's the shit.
I think in the beginning people didn't even realize it was Indiana. They just saw MGP and were like, "They're in Kansas. They make proteins and all kinds of weird shit." And like they thought it was like some new distillery that all of a sudden had all this. And I was like, "No, they bought the Seagram's plant." Because nobody knew what that was. And then finally people kind of started to get an idea of what the Seagram's plant was. And, like Seagram's, the problem with the Seagram's plant is Seagram's wasn't really putting any of that stuff into good product. The whole reason that 95% rye exists was the heart of, I think it was Seagram's 7, because when they switched from light whiskey to GNS, they wanted something that had so much flavor that if they only used 20% of it, it would flavor all that vodka. And it was never meant to be a rye. And so they had all these things that were delicious and amazing, but they weren't really putting them into, until it started getting contracted out by Diageo and Pernod Ricard. All these other companies, to go for them.
Oh yeah, no doubt. So back to this small batch, Matt. What are you thinking about it? What's your?
I'm thinking it's pretty easy to see why this took home a gold.
Yeah, there's no doubt.
Alive, this is good. This is really great stuff. It's got really really nice cinnamon and rye spice. I'm kind of picking up like graham crackers, or a toasted caraway seed. It's really really great. There's none of that.
Get better at this. I can't pick out. I'm too like.
But that's funny. That's why I have Matt on the show. Well, that plus, he's just a good guy in general.
That's the only reason.
But Matt,
in the beginning, I couldn't pick out any flavors. I just like something, and people are like, "What? How does it taste?" I'm like, "It tastes really good." They're like, "Can you elaborate on that?" I'm like, "Yeah, it tastes really fucking good." And they're like, "Well, you got to give us like flavors." I'm like, "I don't know how to pick out flavors." I just blended it until I was like, "Ooh, this is yummy. I like this one. This is a flavor I like."
It's really, 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 really fucking good.
Yeah. And so I had to have someone like teach me how to like pick out flavors, and I would watch. Sure. And I'd watch other people review my stuff and be like, "Oh, you know what? I can taste that," or "Oh, I know when to look for that." And so I had to learn how.
That's why that's why I love having Matt around. Matt's been in the food industry, so he has a lot of the the palate training just from that, and working in that industry and knowing the flavors and smells and tastes and aromas, and he can definitely pick things out. So that's why I'm always like, it's nice to be able to kind of sit back here and pull the levers and make the show go. But then it's like when it comes down to the nuts and bolts, it's like, Matt, what do you think about that?
If you say something confidently enough, everybody just
unless we had Jay Arisman on from New Riff. He's like, you know what? I don't care. You can tell me anything you taste, and if you tell me you taste it, I'm going to believe you. But if you tell me you taste pepperoni pizza in my bourbon, I'm going to tell you you're crazy, man. So, but anything else you're going to be all right with. So, But yeah, I agree, Matt. This is, it's funny because obviously you can see my glass is empty. I enjoyed it so much.
Right. Yeah, it's an easy drinker.
Yeah, but on the back end of it now, with just a little bit left in the glass, I'm detecting almost just that slight little bit of almost like like tobacco, which I love on the and just a little touch of almost leather. I don't know, Matt. Matt, your glass is looking kind of empty over there now too.
Yeah, mine is looking a little
Mine's almost
unfortunately empty, but I get the toasty and the smoky on the back end.
Yeah,
I'm coming back to it.
Yeah, just like a little bit of oak, a little bit of just a little hint of tannins, but nothing too like that makes you wince. And
yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, I agree. You're talking about the tannins, man. There's some things you just get a sip of, and it's like, oh, on the front, and it's like, oh, that's really good, and then it takes that turn, and you're just like going, oh, this isn't not what I thought it was going to be. And
a lot of that comes from rotating barrels. I let the barrels sit their whole lifespan, and that rack, a lot of places they're, especially if you start a barrel high, they'll roll them down, roll them around all the time, and that breaks up all the char, and then it's very easy for the alcohol to dissolve the tannins out of those three-dimensional little bits, and it's very easy to over oak a barrel.
Yeah, that makes a difference. The tannins, and again, a slight bit of it's not going to be too much, but when you get something, we had something a couple of months ago, Matt. What was the Old Tub? That new Old Tub from Jim Beam, man. That was like, initially it goes $20 a bottle. It's like, oh, this is really good, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a second, there's something going on back here. It's like, I don't know that I'm going to like that so much. But yeah, man, it was just something about it was just too tannic, too much,
they're known, they put on their commercial, they roll their barrels around all the time,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. What's that?
I don't know any other way to do it. I don't know a big robot that can rotate your barrels around. So,
oh yeah. Well, guys, we're actually at the end of round 2 here. So we'll wrap this one up with some final thoughts. Well, Aaron, of course, we know this is your stuff, man. So we know you like it.
I love it. You gotta, you have to do it for yourself. You can't guess what other people, and that is one of the rewarding things, because it is a creative process, and you can only do it where you like it, and you hope that we put it out into the world that other people like it. And when you get all this feedback about people telling you how amazing it is, and it's like one of their favorite bourbons, it's incredible. It makes all the laboring and the
the forklift driving and everything else, man. It makes it worth it, right?
Yeah.
So Matt, closing thoughts on the small batch, man. What do you think?
A lot of times when I was just getting more into bourbon, when I heard small batch, I got the mindset that Aaron, you were describing, where you're waiting as a distiller for your bourbon to hit 4 years in a day. So you don't have to put an age statement on it, and you can call it small batch, and you can just get your young stuff out there. Right. And I think it gave small batch bourbon, at least in my mind, kind of a bad rap. So it's fun to go back with an open mind now and to hear the story about this, because you've got 8 year in this, you've got 4 year, you said you had 6 year as well. So
this one is 4, 5,
5.
Either
4, 5, and 8. So yeah,
but I stopped using the 6 year. I still have a tank that has 6 year in it. I stopped using it because that 5 year off the 6th floor is so tannin heavy and oaky that the 6 year I can't find a place for it. When I put it in, it doesn't add to the flavor, and so it's just sitting in the tank until I figure out what to do with it. But yeah, but it was so because it used to be 4 year and 6 year and 8 year, and now the 5 year off the 6th floor is taking the place of the 6 year.
Yeah. So I think that small batch got a bad rap, but it's fun to go back and see people that are doing small batches, but they're actually putting a lot of age in these small batches, and you can't reflect that. So that's why we like having people on, so that so that someone like you can tell our listeners, like, don't don't think of this as 4-year and 3-day small batch. There's some good. There's some age. There's some legs in this bourbon. And,
yes,
and it's good.
Well, thank you.
You did a great job with it. It tastes like a gold medal.
Well, see, for me, it was the opposite because I was uneducated. And I was like, small batch, that means it's a smaller batch. And that's when they're really, it's when they're really taking the time, right? And then so people are like, no, small batch has no meaning. It doesn't mean shit. It just, it doesn't even have to be a smaller batch than when they're regular stuff. There's no, it doesn't regulate it at all. You can call it, you know.
This is our 1,800 barrel small batch, right?
Yeah, it's like now you go to the grocery store and what did I see? Like small batch barbecue sauce the other day.
Yeah,
there you go.
Advertising.
Yeah.
So man. When I chose small batch, I was like, this is so that people understand that the batch is small, you know? And then it's hand selected for this tiny batch, and then you all of a sudden. Then I learned, like what you were saying, you know.
Yeah. Well, I have to give it 2 thumbs up too, man. I'm a big fan. It's delicious and at 100 proof. You know, to me, there was a little bit more spice on that one than the straight bourbon. I picked it up on my tongue, especially the palate. I picked up a little more spiciness to it, which I enjoy. Like Matt said, it's I like that. So I'm looking forward to our next session. I'm really, really looking forward to the next session. I can't wait to get to that one.
Thank God I'll have the forklift again after this one.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're gonna take a quick break. We'll get a word from our sponsor, and we'll be right back in just a minute with more from with Aaron Chepenik from Smoke Wagon Bourbon. So sit tight. Thanks.
Pinhooking is an old Kentucky term for purchasing young thoroughbreds, holding them until they mature, and selling them when they are ready to run. Successful pinhooks, much like whiskey, are made on instinct, experience, an appreciation of quality, and a little daring. Pinhook, straight bourbon whiskey.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the third and final session round of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me, as always, is Rob Loeb. Matt. Matt, how you doing tonight, man?
I thought we decided nothing like Rob Lowe.
I'm telling you, dude. St. Elmo's Fire. Go back and watch the movie. You're Rob Lowe, dude. I'm just telling you, man. If you put sunglasses on and had an earring and played saxophone, Matt. I know you played saxophone in junior high, so I'm just telling you.
I don't know about that one, but maybe fire a few more drinks down the pie hole here. And
well, this next one ought to do it for you, right? I mean, come on, man.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. But you're doing all right, obviously.
Oh, man. All right is the understatement of the evening. We are doing great. We are back. And as always, everybody, you've made it this far. So you really don't want to miss the exciting conclusion, because Mark, I know especially, has been waiting with bated breath.
Waiting for the Uncut.
Number 3.
I have been waiting. Yes.
That's right.
Yep.
So we are back.
No, hell no. I'm going to go back here and drive my forklift in the backyard, man. I'm ready to roll, man.
For it. It was only 85 today or something like that.
You were only 85. You were cooler than we were today.
Yeah. But man, this morning was there was all these warnings. You couldn't go outside because all the smoke from the California wildfires blew in.
Oh, right.
Hazardous air quality this morning.
What the? Here's the thing. I mean, I'm not going to get off on a tangent, but just for a second, a gender freaking reveal party that these people had that freaking has destroyed thousands of acres of wild because of a gender reveal. I'm like, come on, man. It's like, God, just tell people what the hell your baby is. It's like, hey, it's a boy, it's a girl. You don't have to go through all this stuff and burn down the entire forest for it, right?
There's a. Well, I don't want to start talking about California.
We all know that the intention was good behind this. I think not to go wax political on this, Mark, but I agree that we don't need pomp and circumstance to tell everybody. The gender of your baby, but at the same time,
especially don't use pyrotechnics in red flag conditions.
Yeah. man. It's like, come on. But speaking of babies, let's talk about this baby that I've got right here in my glass, because this baby is going to set everybody on fire. So this is the Uncut Unfiltered. And this one, Matt, I think I left the bottle with you. Either that or I've lost it somewhere.
Oh no, you did leave it here. That means
113.9. Is that right?
Yeah.
Maybe one of your worst moves yet, leaving the bourbon over here.
Let's see.
I hope you.
My bottle only has ABV on it, so it's good to do some.
I think it's 113.9 proof on this one.
Yeah, 113.9, man. So
I've got the same one of you guys.
There, we're getting into the wheelhouse now, and the color on this one is beautiful. It's clinging to my glass. I mean, it's you just know. So Aaron, tell us a little bit about this one.
Well, it's magical. So first I'll talk about Uncut Unfiltered as like my philosophy, and then I'll talk about this batch.
All right.
So when I did Uncut Unfiltered, there weren't a ton. I mean, it's amazing how fast, everything's changed in 3 or 4 years.
Sure.
And so, there was like, the obvious choices like Booker's and things like that. And you would go to the websites back then and they would say, please enjoy this with some spring water. And I was like, well, what's the point? I don't understand. Why would you have a cask strength? I mean, I get it. It's like, here's a pure starting point for you as a consumer.
Sure.
And I was like, I'm going to make it, in my opinion, where it tastes its best and neat. Like, I'd be more inclined to have small batch on ice than I would Uncut Unfiltered. And so I just wanted to be so rich and creamy up front that you crave the heat, you crave that spice on the finish. Otherwise, it would be too one-dimensional. It'd be like too smooth, And so, and I learned a lot. I learned a lot about tannins with this and the balance between tannins and lipid esters, because lipid esters are what's going to make it nice and creamy and not taste super hot. But if you're too high with the old juice, it's going to be too tannin heavy, and it's going to finish harsher, which is not what you would expect. If you put in some thinner, younger stuff, and it takes away the tannins, a lot of that harshness sometimes on the finish, which gets people think it's ethanol heat. It's actually tannin harshness. And so you can actually, I found that introducing the young juice to cut down on the tannins and bring in the, all that rye spice that's disappeared over time with some of these nice fruit flavors and more delicate flavors, and not to repeat myself, but cut down on the tannins, you can have something at a higher proof actually finish more delicately as far as ethanol heat than it would just being that bourbon. I mean, obviously, we have these single barrels that, these are a single vintage and they taste great. It's like, I went, went through like 300 barrels and found 50 that, that tasted good. And so this is more, you're blending a bunch of barrels together and getting that complexity and that flavor profile. And this one, I found that I really like them a little thinner and brighter, and almost finish a little hotter in the summertime than I do in the winter. And so in the beginning, I was making making blends that were just like really rich and heavy. The finish was kind of disappeared a little too fast. The cinnamon and the spice was like lower. It wasn't as prominent. They were definitely more oak prominent. I don't know. I just felt like I wanted. First of all, I was drinking them too fast, and also I just wanted. And because after a few sips, they became like, this is really nice. And I just wanted something that held up. That even after your palate got acclimated to everything that was going on, you still had all that cinnamon and all that spice, and it was just a little more punch, a little more in your face flavors. Yeah,
and this one definitely. I'm so happy to be drinking this one, man. This is great. I mean, this one.
I love it.
Yeah, you and me both, Matt. What about you, man? I can see you over there. You're nosing it. You've been sniffing on it and sniffing on it and sipping on it. So
Yeah.
what do you think?
I mean, swirling around here and given a chance to have a go at it, and immediately on the nose, it's something I often get with rye, and usually more of an actual rye, like at least a 51% rye. But I get green apple.
Mm,
I get like a tartness
yep.
of a
I
green
can see
apple,
that.
like a cinnamon green apple, like thinking like a baked tart apple, right on the nose. I don't know. What are you picking up, Mark?
Well, the funny thing is, after I tasted it, I took a sip of water afterwards, not because I needed it, but it was just something I did. And then I started almost picking up almost like a chocolate flavor, a chocolate
Yeah.
taste,
Yeah,
which is, yeah. Aaron, is that
yeah?
okay? All right.
Those are from the they're from the 4-year barrels and some in the 5. See what again? Everybody's clocking out, leaving me here.
Oh, see the hardest working man in the bourbon business, man.
Midnight oil for
That's
you
right.
all here on
That's
the
right.
Bourbon Life Podcast.
I'll do
That's
that.
right. We appreciate him hanging out late at work, man, just to make the podcast work for us.
Good. But yeah, the chocolate has been something new, and it's really been I've been getting it a lot. And then it's funny because when my first couple sips, I got like all this butterscotch, and but now, yeah, on the finish, even it's like those 5th floor 8-year barrels where it had that finish, and you felt like your tongue was coated in honey. This, I feel like my tongue is coated in like a cinnamon chocolate.
I agree, man. Yeah, the cinnamon definitely stands out, almost like those little, when I was a kid, those little, not the Brock's candy, but those little teeny chewy Red Hots. That you chew on, man. That were little teeny red disc, man. You just chewed them up. But I get that same kind of sweet cinnamony flavor off of that. But then I get that chocolate finish off of it too, man, which is great. And it's 113.9. So most people would hear that and be like, "Oh my God, that's going to burn you up." So yeah, Aaron, I mean, I hate to say it, but I hate to say that a bourbon is smooth, but this is 113.9 proof. And man, this is so easy to drink, but I hate to say that it's smooth, but hey,
I know what you mean. Smooth has really become like a sort of a bad word. I think, because a lot of people who are just starting, they want something smooth, and even I think when I was reviewing some of the older barrels, I would talk about them being smooth, where it was like, there's really nothing going on, like, and what we're talking about here is because smooth usually means like one dimensional, it's like nice and creamy caramel, and that's about it.
right.
There is heat, but not, I mean, especially after a few sips, and your palate's getting all coated with those lipid esters and sugars and everything, and all of a sudden there really isn't that much heat. And so, I know what you're saying. Like, it's not burning, and even going down, it's nice and warm. And it does not drink like it's 113 proof. And that was sort of the idea,
Mm-hmm.
And so the irony is the lower proof small batch, I can add ice to it and I like it. If I put ice or water in Uncut Unfiltered, it becomes too smooth. It really become one dimensional, and it's just sweet and yummy. But I don't want just sweet and yummy. I want that spice, and I want that I want the heat. And so I just blended it to taste like I how I want it. And so unlike small batch or the entry,
the other one,
bourbon, which I never came up with a name for.
the other one, the straight bourbon,
Yeah.
that straight stuff. Yeah, that other bottle.
This does not have like a flavor philosophy where I'm trying to match. Every batch is just I want it. It really is like, oh, that tastes good, and it will change depending on temperature and humidity and my palate and my mood and everything. Finally did order stickers so I could put on the back and tell everybody the batch number and when it was, what the date it was bottled, because people are like, why don't you do that? I'm like, you gotta understand. 5 months ago, I wouldn't even bottle a full pallet. This stuff locally was such a slow mover, which broke my heart because it's like the hardest to get right and the one I love the most. But I love small batch too. It's like, I will never not be in the mood for small batch, no matter what the temperature or time of day or anything. Uncut, unfiltered, I definitely don't think I'm going to sip on that at like 1:30 in the afternoon. I want to try to get anything else done that day, because that day's over. It's done.
It's over.
Yeah.
We're out of here.
So,
or it's just beginning.
So here it's a weird market because of the casinos and everything. It's very on-premise focused, and it's too expensive for like bars to have on a cocktail menu, or like nobody's really going to drink it in a bar, because of its price point and everything. And so it really didn't start picking up steam until we got into other markets like California and Illinois and Colorado and things like that, where people are going to liquor stores like, oh my God, this is amazing. And each batch is different and I want them all. And now it's like, okay, it's time to stop messing around and let people know what it is. But in the past it was easy. People were like, oh, hey, we do one batch every like 3 months of like 44 bottles. It was not hard to keep track of, what was different or anything.
Sure.
But so this is I think this is not the most recent. This is the one we did. This was, it's got a date on it. So August 14th, we just did a more recent one that's like really big, spicy, cinnamony, definitely more along the lines of this though than like some of the previous batches. I think I tried one from June, and it was like it was funny because it was, when I first had it like in June, I was like, oh, this is like candy in a glass, and I loved it. Now I'm like, I don't really want candy in a glass. I want like a punch in the face, I want some more heat and some more spice and some more going on, and so
and I'm gonna ask this question because I know Matt, I could just see his wheels turning, and I know he's gonna ask us. So I'm gonna jump in and ask it before Matt can.
You would,
and you know what question it's gonna be. It is. It's because I was gonna ask you regarding your blending, and you brought that up, and you said, talking about the straight bourbon, talking about the small batch, that you're blending to a taste profile on that one, on those two.
Yeah.
But on this, it's whatever you think blends and taste what you want it to taste. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The only exception was, there was one that, and I did a video on it where it was really, it was the first blend I did, and it was, I'd say maybe 20% 8-year, and that was it. And I loved it, man. It was like, whoo, it was fire in a good way. But I was like, this really isn't the price point for Uncut Unfiltered and what people are used to for Uncut Unfiltered. This is just, it's too young. I can't do it. It's just,
right.
I would love to release it somehow, but not as Uncut Unfiltered, because it would just be too far off track. It was just, that day I was definitely in the mood for that. It was it was intense. I'll tell you.
Now I'm a huge fan of the barrel proof bourbons, man. I love them. Outside of your own, is there something that you would say would be your favorite?
Like cask strength?
Yeah. Do you have a favorite other than your own? I mean, do you drink anything besides your own?
not anymore. I mean, especially since I don't go out anymore.
I was gonna say, if I had barrels in my backyard or in my basement or wherever,
blending and it's not even drinking.
I'll blend something and not release it and take it home and drink it, and it's tough when you get to curtail something specifically for your palate and what you want it to taste like to go out and and drink something else. I mean, but I would say, like, before, one of my favorite was the E.H. Taylor. I think the E.H. Taylor cask strength I really liked.
Yeah, the barrel proof. Yeah, that's a great. And Matt was kind enough to gift me a bottle of that earlier this year for my birthday, and I had really just kind of let it set aside until about 2 weeks ago and cracked it. And man, holy crap.
It's crazy. Yeah. Cause when I was drinking it, it was like, it was everywhere. It had just released and nobody knew what it was. And you could still get Weller all the time. Nobody knew
Yeah,
Weller was the same as Pappy. I mean,
right. And now it's like nothing. You can't find anything
no.
anywhere. So now you guys do single barrels with people, right? Barrel selects.
I have been. I kind of have to cut back on that because the demand for uncut and small batch is so huge.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't have the barrels to really.
Yeah.
I can't. Because I don't want to that barrel. And it's not as fun as it used to be. It was fun when I had like what seemed like an unlimited amount of barrels, and I had interaction with everybody, and they would come out, and it was like a way to connect with people. And and then all of a sudden it became insane, and like there was the lists, and I had to figure out who could get it, and it really became it was like stressful. I was like, this isn't fun anymore. And then all of a sudden it was like, well, shit, I don't have the barrels. And then it really, so then we're like trying to get everybody that we could on the list and take care of retailers in the new markets we got into, because, those are the partnerships that, are lasting and important. And it just, you see me talking about it. It's like, man, barrels went from like, this is so fun to like, I have nightmares about barrel picks. Like, I don't have enough barrels. And then I really didn't have enough barrels. And I just was looking, projecting on what we had and the amount of cases we were doing. I was just like, man, I just can't do them anymore. I just don't have enough old juice. I don't ever want to compromise on. I always want uncut, unfiltered, and small batch to taste the way I want them to taste. I don't want to have to be a compromise from like trying to figure out how to make what I have work.
Right. Yeah.
And so if I kept doing, we had like over 100 people on the list, and if I blew through those 100 barrels, I would definitely be in a position where I was like freaking out about like, okay, what can I do with uncut with what I have left? And I just didn't.
Sure. Well, because like I said, earlier, I follow you guys on Instagram, and I love what you put out there, and just being on, we've got like 42,000 followers, but anytime anybody says anything about Smoke Wagon, I mean, it's like people go nuts, man. And I told some people that you're going to be on the show this week, and I mean, people were just like, holy shit, we can't wait to listen. I mean, people are just
amazing. That's incredible.
Just nuts, man. Just crazy. People are just real. I mean, they're going nuts over your stuff, man.
I appreciate it, and that's the thing. It's like, I don't know. I don't really want to use responsibility, but like when you have interaction like Instagram, right? It really does give you this opportunity to interact with people. And I think a lot of not just other distillery brands or, where they just post stuff and walk away,
Right.
And that shit, it would always piss me off. Like if it was something that I was following, and especially if they were like, oh, hey, Instagram, I consider you guys to be my family. What do you think of this? And I would like put in this heartfelt comment, and like they wouldn't like it or respond or anything. I was like, well, okay, fuck you.
It's like,
we're not family, you liar.
Yeah. It's like I'm the uncle you don't even care about anymore. You never comment.
And or you'd see that there was obviously a few core group people that were, and also like if it was somebody that like I followed on Instagram, that I looked up to, and they would like my comment. It was like, oh, that would like my comment. That's awesome. So and it doesn't. I mean, even with we're almost at 12,000 followers, which is obviously some of these guys have like hundreds of thousands of followers.
Sure.
I'm sure your comments, but just to go through and like them does not take a lot of time.
It doesn't take any time at all, man. I agree with that. And I'm very intentional about that. I try to comment back to everybody that comments on our stuff. I try to take the time to comment back to them, even if it's just like a thumbs up or,
thank you or something.
Cheers or thanks or whatever, man. But I've noticed it's like the stuff you guys put up, and even people posting other, stuff about you guys and your bottles. People go nuts over it, man. So that's got to be really cool.
It is really cool.
Very soon you're going to have a full-time job commenting back on people. I think you're going to get real busy real quick here.
I definitely need like a macro for messages about how we don't have barrels, because I try to get through all the direct messages, which takes longer, so many of them. And it's just like, oh man, I don't want to tell this guy we don't have barrels anymore. Do that? my friends and I, all we want out of life is to do 1-year barrels. I'm like, fuck. I don't want to tell this guy, it's because I feel bad. I want to give everybody everything they want. It's like
Sure.
I get no joy in like, because some people do, they get joy in picking and choosing and denying people things and being like,
Sure.
You gotta kiss my ass if you want this, and I don't. I just want to like, it's funny too, because I definitely get accused of being disingenuous and like being an actor or something like that, and but it's not. It's like
you're just lucky, man. That's all it is, Aaron.
It's just luck.
You're just
walking
lucky,
around,
man.
just grabbing some MGP juice and
That's right.
cramming it in the bottle. And
gold medals. Yeah, gold medals just fall out of the sky. I walked in, there's a gold medal. It's like, thank you very much.
Yeah, just close my eyes and get barrels, and then put them in it. I don't even get barrels. I'm just gonna stop getting barrels. MVP send me tankers. We'll dump it all out there. And
we'll just put it in a bottle, man. It'll be great. So speaking of your bottles, because I've got your website pulled up. Now you've got the straight bourbon that I've got. That's the one we talked about earlier.
Yeah, this comes in the stock bottle. Oh, there's no video.
There's no video, but yeah, it's kind of a stock bottle. And for people that are listening, it looks, like you said, it's like like the Sazerac, like the BTAC bottles, man. So it's like the
Holly heavy bottle.
Yeah,
because it's got that big thick base. So,
yes, I was gonna say it's got that nice clear thick glass base. It's really cool. But it's like the William LaRue,
all the antique collection comes in this bottle.
Yeah. So, but then your other bottles, man, they are like they are awesome.
Yeah. Oh, so, thank you.
Yeah. So, what was the story behind that? What made you say, "Hey, I want to spend a shit ton of money"?
Hold on. Well, you can't see, but you guys can see. Unfortunately, your listeners can't see. So I'll start with this bottle, the vodka bottle.
Okay.
And so it has where the wax is. So everybody listening can kind of get an idea. If you haven't seen it, where the wax is on Smoke Wagon, there is a replica of the Morgan silver dollar, which we actually got permission from the United States Treasury to trademark replicating the Morgan silver dollar. It was actually public domain.
Wow.
Yeah, and so you can see on the vodka here, you can, but the reason there's no desert sage on the back of the bottle is so that you could clearly see through the vodka bottle and see copy on the back of the Morgan.
Oh, that's super cool.
Nice.
So we didn't have to put it on the front. Otherwise, you get sued because people buy this thinking they get a silver dollar on there. And, they're like, hey, there's not an ounce of silver here. You're an asshole. So
I'm suing you for that.
Yeah. By the way, there's a brand out there that I can guarantee you they're going to get sued because people sued. They don't have copy anywhere on their coin. And I mean, I dealt extensively with an attorney, and the Franklin Mint got sued for their World Trade Center commemorative coin, which had no monetary value and did not represent any existing coin ever. And there was this huge class action lawsuit because people bought it thinking that they were getting like a coin. Getting money.
Jeez.
Yeah. If you're a brand out there and you got a coin your bottle, it doesn't say copy on it. Get ready.
so Bourbon Lifers, if you happen to see the silver dollar vodka, please do not buy it thinking you're getting a silver coin.
It says copy on it, big letters on the back. So we're well within the
so we're covered.
Before this bottle existed, there has never been a bottle with any type of applique on the front of a round bottle. Yeah, they told me it couldn't be done, so I did it.
You're like, hey, watch this.
So I had to learn. It was a rudimentary 3D program called SketchUp, and so I built a 3D bottle, and I took the dimensions of the Holly bottle, and I moved the coin in and out to figure out exactly where it could go, so it wouldn't be a contact point on the assembly line, because that was the big concern. And I put these. If you look at Smoke Wagon, there's those little glass, raised on the label, and that so that those hit when it's going down the assembly line, and there's no contact point on the wax or that. So I had to design the bottle because everybody told me it couldn't be done. So this is like when I was talking about earlier, where I designed this bottle. I was like, I want this. And they're like, well, no one's done that. And if you look at the Desert Sage, the detail, there's no bottle that has blown glass with this type of detail. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so we originally started with so this is the Nevada State flower. So two things I wanted with this bottle was the Nevada State flower blown in the glass. I mean, the Nevada Distilling Company around the wax, that was easy. But I was inspired by bottles I saw in like the late 1800s.
Yeah.
And also like, like an old Four Roses bottle had roses all over it.
Yeah.
And because, people used to like show off what they could do. And so, yeah, the first company that did it was a German glass company that had bought a plant in the U.S. And our first bottles were made in the U.S. And I was really happy about having everything done in the U.S. But that plant shuttered and they never really got it right.
Yeah.
And so now all the glass is blown in Italy, which is significantly more expensive. But I made other packaging choices. Originally everything came in a gift box. We eliminated that. We used to have like beautiful 6-pack cases. Now everything's like 1 or 2 color 6-packs cases. And then with the volume we're doing now versus what we were doing back then, I was able to keep all the packaging costs the same so that I didn't have to raise prices because I want everything to be affordable. Mm-hmm. So, and then I did the bourbon in the amber glass because that is how all the bottles in the 1800s were. All the high-end bourbon came in an amber bottle because they felt
Yeah. It's funny because I'm looking at your bottle on your website and it's like I just went back. I don't know if you've ever watched the series called Deadwood on HBO.
Oh yeah.
It's one of my favorites, and I just went back and watched it for like the 6th or 7th time.
They even have the movie now. They did the movie.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. So, but looking at the bottle, I mean, it just makes me think of like 1870s, 1880s. The Old West. It's very, very cool. Very nice.
So vodka, this Morgan was minted in Carson City, so it was the currency of the Old West, and we chose Smoke Wagon because that was Old West slang for the Colt single action army revolver, the gun that won the West.
Yeah,
right.
And so everybody had like a Morgan in their pocket and a Colt on their hip, and so both like the bourbon, especially, I tried to make it like kind of the Old West where we had all that, the filigree around the label. And the other thing too is a lot of these craft guys were they were just doing like really shitty bottles, and I owned bars and they would come by with these things. I was like, man, no one is going to drink that.
It looked like shit, dude.
I was like, no one's going to want to hold that bottle. No one's going to have confidence in the contents, and
right.
But they were like, but we made it. We descended from the clouds to give you, the consumer, our craft product. And I was like, nobody gives a shit. Like nobody cares that you found your grandfather's recipe in a shoe and you're making, and you're the first craft distiller in your state since Prohibition. No one cares. Nobody cares. All that people care about is like, is it good? And, and especially like, does your bottle stand out? Because if it doesn't, I mean, you're
nobody's going to pay attention to it, man. So
no one's gonna, especially in a bar, because I was in a bar. And so it's like bartenders don't have time to educate the customer when it's busy.
Right.
A lot of things people see a bottle like, oh, what's that? And, and I didn't really become. Sorry, the wind was blowing. It freaked me out. I don't know the whole bay door.
Oh my God, somebody's breaking in.
And it wasn't until that. And so I was always like thinking about bars and being on the back bar and things like that. And it really wasn't until we were released where I was like, oh, well, liquor stores are where it's at, because I mean, I come from the bar business. I know it's like your bar customers are like 21 to 25.
Yeah.
It's liquor stores, people older, no one, sure, people are going to bar, but it's like we would have expensive stuff at the bar just to have it, make the back bar look good. And sure, federal court, especially in Las Vegas, federal courthouse is like a few blocks away where you get attorneys at happy hour and things like that. But they're not blowing through like Fireball, like where the kids are drinking all the Fireball or whatever.
Right.
We're going through
Right.
a flavored rum, like multiple cases a week. You have like one bottle, and so then I started like thinking about what it would look like on a liquor store shelf, and that was when one of the reasons I eliminated the gift box is because the bottle itself looked better on the shelf than the gift box.
Than a box. Yeah, that makes sense, man. I mean, it's a beautiful bottle. So,
Thank you.
man, we're at the end of session 3. We've gone over a little bit too.
I think we're double over, right? Because we were doing it, and then we lost connection, and then we started again. So
crazy how that happens, right?
Yeah.
So, but all right. So, well, we'll go back and visit our thoughts on this one, man. I'm a big fan. This is amazing, man. This
Thank
Uncut Unfiltered. This is something I'm a big fan of the Taylor Barrel Proof, the Elijah Craig Barrel Proof. And honestly, Elijah Craig Barrel Proof has been probably one of my favorite regular drinkers. Until I cracked Matt's bottle that he gave me, the EH Taylor Barrel
bottle, man.
Well, the EH Taylor Barrel Proof is amazing, but I'm telling you, man, this is right up there, Aaron. Seriously, because it's the higher proof, but the drinkability, and like I said before, I hate to say that word smooth, but the ability to drink this without the related that high proof, without that burn sometimes that you get with it. It absolutely that's to me is amazing, man.
I mean that's the idea, and you get all that, and it's a lot more complex than I had someone ask me, like, how is it possible that the Uncut Unfiltered is good, if not better, than Desert Jewel or like some of these barrel picks? I'm like, well, because you're blending all these different vintages for complexity. It's going to be way more complex. You can't. It's very hard to find that much flavor in a single vintage alone, even if you're blending 100 barrels together, let alone a single barrel, and that's
yeah, it's great. Matt, what do you think, man? What are your thoughts on that one? I know you're not much of a high proof guy,
I know. Don't sell me short on the proof. But we spent so much time talking about the packaging and the bottles that your bourbons come in, and they're gorgeous. They're super ornate, and I love them. But let's be serious. You could ship this off in an old boot, and I'd still. This is really, really, really good.
Thank you.
And I finally picked out, to me, that it's like a caramel covered apple, like a caramel dipped apple with cinnamon. It's got the spice, like you were saying, to cut through the lipids and the fats that you get on your tongue. It's got that a nice welcome burn, but it's also got a great coat of the tongue. This is really good stuff. And I really enjoyed having all three, and knowing that the straight bourbon and the small batch are going to be blended to consistency so that they retain that profile. But the Uncut and Unfiltered, man, if you have like a bourbon club, like places have a wine club where they just send you wine every month, every time, sign me up every time you release a new one. Just put me on the list. And because I think it'll be really fun to taste your blending and what you're doing with them. And it's fun to hear a blender say that this batch reflects how I was feeling at this point in time. So
no doubt.
If you like it, that's awesome. If it wasn't your favorite, there's going to be another one. So, strap in and hold on, because every single one's different. I think that's really, really cool and really unique.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. And what I try to do now, it used to be we just crank it out. I shouldn't say crank it out. We'd get like a batch out, and we'd like, okay, what's, this distributor in this state ordered this much, let's send it to them. Now I kind of wait, I'll get everybody as much small batch and straight as they need, but I want to do multiple batches of Uncut, so one area isn't getting the whole batch, so that we can mix the pallets and give multiple batches to each state. And so
Aaron, where can people find you guys? Where are you distributed now?
Right now it's New York, New Jersey, Tennessee is about 3 seconds away. Arkansas, surprisingly, I just really like those guys. I've just been kind of doing everything by gut, and just people I like dealing with. it's so important because, you know, a lot that no one, I will get to every state. I swear. I'm sorry. But, you know, people don't really understand the 3-tier system.
Yeah.
And
Right.
relationship that a supplier has with the distributor. And a lot of times they're to a degree adversarial because the distributor, especially if they got big brands that have big money, they're pulling them in a lot of directions, and all the sales reps are getting pulled in a million directions, and there's all this pressure and there's all these things. And I just didn't want any of that. I just wanted to deal with people that I could talk to like humans, because there's a lot of corporate structures where you can't talk to somebody. You're talking to them and they're using like whatever the phrases of the day are in their corporation, and it's like, can you just please talk to me like a human? So I really like the guys in Arkansas. I had a great time talking to them. So I was like, whatever, I don't even know that market, but you know what? I love you guys.
We're going to Arkansas.
Let's go to Arkansas. So Illinois, I've had great luck there. Really like the distributor there. Colorado, California with a super small guy, and I really like him. Everybody keeps trying to steal me away from him because it's a big monster state, but you know, we've been through a lot together, and I you know, and I'm doing everything I need to be doing there. And Texas, holy crap, Texas. Whew. Yeah. That is a monster. My God. You know, people are like, when are you going to get to Florida? Like, I'm not neglecting anyone. It's just everything's been insane. Like,
sure, man.
You know, every state we've gotten into, it starts off small. Like, well, I shouldn't say what. Some people will start off, any place that doesn't pre-sell, they'll start off with like a tiny order, and then like the next day, like, okay, we were totally wrong, and we need all this, you know, like Illinois and like Colorado. Colorado was a state where I was just like, yeah, what the distributor, you know, they had a relationship with the Illinois guys, and I really like the Illinois guys, and they're like, we really want you. I was like, Colorado, they're so local, they're so craft local focused. I don't think we'll do anything there. Okay, fine. You know, we pre-sold in an hour what we projected to do all year, and that was like the same in Illinois and like everywhere. Mm-hmm. And so it's like people are like, when are you going to come to my state? I'm just like, I'm not being a dick. It's not like I don't like your state. It's like I actually really like your state, and it's a dream state, and I understand what's going to happen when we get in there, and I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to get somewhere and be like, you know, because we've had so much to work through as far as buying new equipment and upgrading the facility, because it's just us. It's like I said, you know, we're not using another facility to do our stuff. And so we just had like a little crappy bottler, and I had to find like a new bottler in the midst of COVID. So something that should have taken 3 weeks took, you know, 4 months. And so I just want to make sure we're set up and can keep up with all the demand and everything.
Well, no, that's great, man. And I think people respect that as much as they'd love to have you in the state. I mean, you got to respect the fact that you want to continue to be able to provide a quality product.
Yeah.
And you don't want to put something out there, because you could make a shit ton of money by putting out a product that is not, you know, necessarily up to what you think it should be, but you could do it. You could sell it, you know, but
I could do 5-year barrel picks right now. I've got 1,000 5-year barrels. I could do 5-year barrel picks all day. I just don't. I found one. That was my rare. I don't have 1,000 anymore. We've gone through so many for the for everything. But you know, that was like the one rare and limited. That was like the only 5-year. I was like, I found one 5-year that I thought was really good. You know, I don't want to just do barrel picks for the sake of doing it and not have them be amazing. And
well, I mean, people respect that, man. So that's not a problem. And like I said, obviously, you know, the brand, people are going nuts over it. I mean, you can see it if you're on social media at all.
It's crazy. Like even the scammers, you know, like all the scammers will have like Weller and Pappy and us. I'm like, how do like these, you know, guys in foreign countries are trying to scam people? How do they even know about the brand?
Well, here's the thing, because I'll post a picture of the bottle that we got plus the 2 samples, and I'm sure that on our post tonight or tomorrow that somebody's going to say, gosh, I wish I could find that in my state. And I guarantee someone's going to comment and say, DM me for details. I can hook you up. It's like block, click. All right.
Yeah.
So,
No,
Aaron,
nobody's going to say that. It's real.
So what's coming up for you guys, man? Do you have anything big planned, anything special, or anything going on you want to share with our listeners before we get out of here?
Yeah,
tonight?
like, I started posting about the Rare and Limited. That should be coming out soon. The first one is sort of like how there'll usually be blends, and so I get about 250 cases out of a tank. And so, it doesn't seem like, it's funny because, for us, it'd be 250 cases. It's like when we had 700 cases of Desert Jewel. In the first 350, it took about a year and a half to sell. And even the second 350, it took a few months. And so it's just crazy that now, like 250 cases, we could have that gone, in a second.
Yeah, sure.
And when I thought of it, I was like, wow, 250 cases. Everybody's going to be so happy. Everyone's going to be able to get some. And now I'm like, oh, shit. I don't think that's enough. But it was like, that's how many of those 8-year fifth floor barrels I had. But the thing that I really want to do with the Rare and Limited is like just be able to get it out all the time. It'll always be different, and it won't have a set release date. I feel like I understand the reason for set release dates with like special stuff on the perspective of the supplier, but it's like everybody knows. Everybody knows when the antique collection comes out. Everybody knows when the birthday present comes out.
Right.
Everybody knows. You don't have to be like a special pay attention to shit to know, and everybody's looking for it. And the whole 5 months prior to it, it's like, there's stuff happening that technically isn't legal, where you have to buy all this if you want to get.
If you want this, right?
Out. And this is just like, it's always going to be coming out. And if you watch Instagram, you know when to look for it. It's not like there's no release. Like, oh,
right. Yeah, right.
Because I really want people to drink it. And I understand, it's like the secondary market is, it bums me out because I try to make everything affordable. But I also understand that I wouldn't be where I am today without it, without the private barrel and things like that.
Right.
And there was a time where it wasn't too bad, and it was like really people sharing things. I mean, obviously I can't endorse it; it's illegal. But
sure.
But you gotta know why. But I understand why I am where I am. But
yep, sure.
I do want people to be able to give everybody a fighting chance to get it and drink it and enjoy it. And so that was the idea, and that's why it comes in that bottle. That I can write on the label, because the problem with Desert Jewel was I was like, I want to do this limited bourbon. I had to like order the packaging before I even knew what it was going to taste like, because it was like it's like 5 months. You got to get they send you wax samples and this and that, and like then you got to schedule it on the bottling run to get the wax put on. And when are we going to do that? Are we going to do it with this run of Uncut and Unfiltered? And so it takes a long time, and I just wanted something where I was like, oh, here's a barrel I like. Here you guys go. Let's get it out there and hopefully have, do it. And I know Rare and Limited is kind of like the name is sort of dick move, Rare and Limited. But it really was coming up the tail end of Desert Jewel, where people are like, can I get any more Desert Jewel? Like, no, it was limited. Like, what? Yeah. How? It's like, it's the whole back label talks about it. So this someone's like, here,
read this. Yeah.
Don't direct message. I have so many direct messages to go through. I don't mean to be a dick, but please don't direct message me about if you could get any more of this, because it was limited. It's just...
So where can people find you guys, Aaron? Just so they know. Oh, so I mean, not the bourbon, but I mean your brand, everything about you guys.
Oh, you mean like, so I'm, Instagram's the best. Smoke Wagon Bourbon. We do have Silver Dollar vodka. I separated them too, but now there's been interest in the vodka. I mean, I know it's a different world.
Sure.
But yeah, I try to share stuff on the Facebook, but nothing. Instagram is like,
right. But Instagram's the place, and you get the website too.
Yeah, the Nevada Distilling.com website. Yeah. I mean, we do have the Smoke Wagon Bourbon website, but Nevada Distilling has a store with all the merchandise and everything. And,
right. Yeah. But Instagram, I mean, at least from my experience as an Instagrammer, Instagram's the place because you're always on there, dude.
Yeah.
I just love your videos.
Well, hey, if you
man.
want real information, though, if you have like questions you need answered, like if you're a retailer or something like that, use the email because the email goes to Lindsay. All
screw
the
that.
messages go to me.
No, I'm just gonna DM you, man.
I try to get to them all, but there's so many,
All right. Well, we're gonna have to close it up, man. We've gone way over, but it's been a hell of a fun time.
I had a great time. I really appreciate you guys having me on. Thank you.
Yeah, we've enjoyed it. So, final thoughts, Matt, on the Uncut Unfiltered.
On the Uncut Unfiltered, absolutely. Undefeated.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I'll try to get you some, but it won't be in an old boot.
I appreciate that. Well, even if it is, it's not going to be wasted on me.
Yeah, I was going to say Matt will still drink it, man. So you don't have to worry about that.
I appreciate what you're saying, Matt, and it's just, and I do take a lot of time on. I know we do talk about the packaging a lot, and I do take a lot of time on the juice and trying to make sure it's delicious.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's great, man. It's great stuff. I mean, like I said, I'm a high proof guy, but drinking a straight bourbon was fun. It was tasty. I
love them all.
Yeah, moving it with a small
straight bourbon, and I can have any. I got all kinds of stuff, and there's times where like that's what I'm in the mood for.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. They were all three, man. Were just spectacular. They really were, Aaron. So
thank you.
Everybody can see and understand what the buzz is about. There's no question about that now.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate that.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to wrap it up here. Before I do, though, I got to thank our sponsors. But before I wrap it up, Aaron, Matt, you guys, any final thoughts you guys want to throw in there?
Matt, you got any questions or anything?
Let's save anything else we got going for the next time we have you on.
Okay.
That's right. The next time, round 2 with Aaron. Yeah. When Matt and Mark traveled to Vegas.
That's right. When we do it live from the forklift.
I'm not always on the forklift. I'm not always doing that stuff anymore. I don't want to give the wrong impression that I'm in here doing all this manual. I mean, a couple months ago for sure. Man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to do that I do like today I'm blending and stuff, but I mean, I'm always in here.
Sure.
I'm always, obviously I'll do all the blends, come up with the blends. I don't do the physical blending as much anymore, but I do come in as soon as it's done and I try it in the tank before I try the small batch before we add water. I try a small batch after we add water, and make sure before it goes into a bottle every single batch, and then I'll come in the next morning and try to get one of the first bottles off the line and see how it is, because it's important.
Sure, man. I mean, you're maintaining consistency and integrity in what you're putting out, and
you just never know. It's like I've messed up. You just got to make sure, or something changed where when you do it on a small scale in grams, and then you do it on a big scale and everything's in 600 pounds, and all of it doesn't. But yeah, I used to do it all. I definitely don't miss bottling. I don't miss unloading the truck in 113.
No, not at all.
Days I'm here, working because it requires it. But yeah. I don't know. I just don't want to give the impression that I'm in here every day moving stuff around. Actually,
that's all right, man. We know how the big dolls roll, man. That's all right.
Well,
but I'm not afraid of work. That's for sure. I'll do it. I love it.
Yeah. Well, for the next session, the next episode, we'll come out to Vegas maybe.
Some forklift training.
There you go, forklift training. All right. Well, with that said, I'm going to close it down. I'm going to thank our sponsors, the Stave Restaurant out in Millville, Kentucky. Again, Chef Jonathan out there doing a great job. Go visit them Friday, Saturday night, live music. You can order online, pick it up to go, or go hang out with them. And then also Pinhook Bourbon, our new sponsor. We love their stuff as well. So we're happy to have them on board with us. And like I said, Sean Joseph was on the show a few months ago. So you can go back and check out that episode with Sean and see what Pinhook's doing. And we really love their stuff as well. But tonight, man, we have enjoyed. Aaron,
I had a great time.
Yeah, man, this has been a great time, and we really appreciate it. So with that said, I'm Matt. Tell you what, man, I mean, when we do these shows, man, I will drink a sample or two, but this show I have.
I know. I had to separate you from the sample bottles here and put them in the other room.
Man, I've had a few samples. So, and I heavy poured that Uncut Unfiltered because I knew I was going to give that bottle to you.
I did the same.
Yeah, it had a straw coming out of the bottle when you brought it into my section of the studio here.
Aaron, I didn't hear. Aaron, what'd you say? I didn't hear you, man.
Oh, I just haven't been drinking it that much because usually when I go home, I sit outside and have a cigar, and it's just been too hot for Uncut Unfiltered, you know.
Sure.
So it was like nice. I was like, "Ooh, I can have some Uncut Unfiltered." I haven't done that.
Well, we're happy we get to have it with you. So I'm going to close us out with our tagline, which is, "May your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the bourbon life."
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple: to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the bourbon life.